Incredible, gentlemen. And of course, you know what time it is, though. More action, more games. Let's send it back over to our casters to prep us here on the Battle Bus. Everyone, buckle up.
It's time to put your seats in the upright position and buckle in. Game 5 here with an unbelievable Game 4. I am Sancho West, and this is Sundown, and we're going to call all the action here. This is day 1 of Heat 1, and we're seeing now we're going to get an interesting zone as it's going all the way to the west coast and to the sunny side here, and we see a lot of water, and this is going to be interesting for the Mongrels and Mitras and Tastons. Interesting for the Anas Thomas HDs, because they have to go a long trek here to get into the safe zone Sundown.
Yeah, we've had 4 pretty central zones, 4 of them ending relatively towards the Sentinel area, and then 1 in upstate New York. But right now, a little bit more breathing room for those on the western side. But the western side of the map is already pretty packed, as we saw kind of in the southwest. There's already a number of teams over at Fortia and also at the Logjam area, as well as players doing scavenger routes on either side of the swamp. So as much as the zone pulling over there is nice, I still anticipate there to be plenty of bad blood going on in that area. But again, uncontested Stark Industry, Mongol Taste of Dimitro, they're going to loot up. They're going to get the best loot in the game, make sure they have maximum everything, and they're going to go hunting.
And we're seeing them almost getting that golden 20 elim game, just 1 elim away for putting everybody in the highlight reel. As I mentioned, they put everybody in a barrel. They kind of just funneled everybody with some strong height game. And yes, you could get height. Yes, you could hold it. You could get the victory royale. But if you could kind of bonus that up with some max elims, you're going to set yourself up for success. And they're currently sitting right now in our top spot, just barely above Flick Anas and Thomas HD. Now we're taking a look at another team that's sitting in our top 10. This is 200, 200, 200. Styler and W Key with 43 points. Right now, they came in to average about 13th place. So at least they're getting the placements. But what is kind of separating them is their 5 elims. But so now we're seeing that it's important to get the elims at in-game, because we kind of mentioned it's a little bit of a bonus considering you are doled out a placement point, especially in that top 3 and top 2, and of course the Victory Royale.
Yeah, being able to kind of get those additional opportunities to have encounters is something we've talked about time and time again. It's what makes those placement points that much valuable. And if you're able to kind of just get placement points almost every single game, get a couple eliminations here, you're going to climb up. You're going to have those opportunities to have one of the big games. But right now, all of a sudden, the ambusher becomes the ambushee, as Styler is a little bit too separated from his teammates. He's actually going to be forced to burn a shockwave to move back and closer to them. Now, he does have that legendary pump. However, he recognized he was too far away, where if he did get locked down and he gives that over, there's no way his team is going to be able to take that 2v3. But right as we talk about shockwaves being used, aggression comes out, and Styler's going to use another one. He says, shockwave party? All right, 3 shockwaves used in total, as everyone, we're just going to go to the skies right away. That's Serenity's Akusta. We saw him with a fantastic effort early on, and now he's going to shockwave back out of the fight. So this one's going to be dubbed the Clown Fiesta. Let's cue the circus music. Sancho, what do you got going on?
I'm just sitting here enjoying the popcorn, getting myself my candy apple. I'm just waiting for the rest of the zoo to show up, because usually a third party likes to kind of peek on in. But you just got to know, these are the kind of fights that you want to kind of have to take to condition the rest of the way. We're sitting so close to the halfway point. At this point, these trios have been colliding every single time. And I know what it feels like to set yourself up for an ambush, and all of a sudden you go for that juicy flank steak and they just collapse on you, as right now as W Key and Styler are trying to collapse on site. But you got to be worrisome. I think why they're taking this fight here, Sundown, is because the zone pulled their way.
No, I feel like you talked about their 5 eliminations. I'm almost positive there are eliminations in these games as well. We're on the other 2. Akusa was the one who was able to make them pay a little bit beforehand, but it seems like they've been actually picking out and isolating Sipe particularly in these engagements. He is almost always the first one to go down and be picked off in this fight. Dezinho generally ends up being kind of right after that, or the last one holding out. But they've now won this fight, I believe, 3 out of the 5 games. So adding in another 3 eliminations there, that's going to push them that much farther ahead. And for the teams who are looking at the bubble, yes, if you're not getting those massive placement points, those early eliminations and winning those trio wipes are so huge. But now we're on board here. We talked about them getting going. It's Savage, Benji, and Lecce. They were able to climb up a little bit there, and now we're seeing some more aggression out of them as Lecce picks up an Elam here, and they look to close out the 2v3.
And then we're getting word that 200-200 is Maestro, and WK is Insar. So we'll do our best to keep that in tabs, but this trio is doing their best to withhold and hold off, but it's just a matter of moment. We've seen this push before that Benji, Lecce, and Savage tend to make. They go up north quickly, and these are the outside fights that we're always going to see one trio be the aggressive, knowing that they feel confident to take out that trio. It happens all the time. Sweaty Sands tends to put out towards that castle. Anytime you land on the POI, you kind of go after the scavenger routes, knowing that you have stronger weapons to deal with. And here's another reoccurring fight they've been watching here in Lazy Lake with Knight, Leon, and I'm trying to figure out who's the other. Yes, and Jachu Paco. This is all the time just happening, and these are kind of things that you're gonna have to go into for the halftime, for that day, from day 1 to day 2. You're gonna try to kind of game plan and figure out a way to solve these issues that you're having here that essentially are stopping you and hurting you from advancing into the grand finals.
So this is really weird to me almost, because we saw the Auto World duo with Jacho and Paco plus Advise. They were executing on kind of the Ghost Sentinel scavenger split. However, that's where Zestin and his trio are currently landing. So they've been forced kind of out of their home, and now they're trying to find, it feels like, almost a secondary scavenger route or a POI to go contest. I don't know if I agree with that game plan. I feel like if you're contested on a scavenger route and it's not necessarily a top trio, you either go find another clean scavenger route because you were already playing that type of rotation, or you come up with a game plan to isolate in 1v3 one of those guys on the scavenger route. But as we talk about it now, we're going to hop on board here with MCK and his trio. Teammates Richard Slat, and MCK, currently in 7th, are making their first Heats appearance ever. So on pace right now to be making those grand finals, running a route just outside of Slurpee. It's one of those kind of southern mountain routes that end up rotating, hitting some fishing spots, but doing a good job of just racking in the consistency points, getting the placement points where they can, utilizing that, and then turning it into more.
And the difference from a scavenger route and POI is to kind of break that down a little bit. A scavenger route, you're not going to go to POIs. You're mainly going to hit the landmarks. You're going to find those chests, those henchman chests that are kind of hidden in the bushes. You're going to kind of make your way, slowly gain your loot, slowly get your mats. The only danger that you're running is someone may surprise you who is coming out of a named POI that does have stronger loot, that does have powerful weapons, could take you out quickly. And they basically just take all that hard work that you scavenge out away from you and absorb all that. So now we're seeing Legend Cartoon and Florix looking good. 50 points. That's going to be a strong performance. That's put them into our top 6 currently. And they have the tools. They got the shockwave. My concern going in is the power weapons. And that it was sometimes taking a scavenger route leads to you just don't have the strength going into these congested zones. You don't have the strength going in game, and you're gonna have to solve that part as well. Is you have to figure out, where can I get this upgrade, where can I get the power weapon, because the moments we've been seeing, the pre-fires, all that, literally 1 second you have that opportunity, Sundown, to capitalize on someone's mistake.
And sometimes it's less than a second. Sometimes it's, we talk about it, the pre-fire, where you think somebody's going to end up poking out of a box. But as we talk about it, Mr. Pre-fire himself going down there in the elimination feed. That's Mitro being eliminated from the match. So unfortunate for him there, as now everyone else continuing along on his rotation as we switch right on board here. That's Link finding a huge snipe on the Kaspersa, who was in this tower, it looks, almost by himself. And Link, yes, going to be able to find it in Kaspersa, gets taken out. So we talked about that most consistent trio, but what happens to them when other players end up dropping down? Last game was the first time we had seen it happen, and they ended up walking away with only a singular point in 21st. So now Kaspersa getting taken down. That's going to probably force the Danish trio farther down the leaderboard.
And they're slipping. They were sitting in the top 3. Now they're outside of it. It's just showing you the spotlight that once you're kind of popping off, all our competitors have access to the leaderboard. They'll take a look at it and they'll see, like, okay, who is this trio? What are they doing? Are they playing passive? Because we all pointed out that they're just getting a lot of their points through placement and not elims. And once they kind of figure you out, you're going to have to adjust. You're going to have to figure something out quickly, or you're just going to keep slipping out of that top 8. Mongrel, Tayson, and Mitro. Now they're just Mongrel and Tayson all by themselves. They figured something out before, considering they're now in first place. But now they have to figure out how they're going to go be ahead and capitalize on their strong leaderboard position, and they have to do that without Mitro.
Oh, that's super unfortunate then, because you see Mitro's body not in there. That indicates it was a disconnect. So very unfortunate, but don't forget, it is all online competition happening at home, as well as the production going on. So there are instances where that will happen, and I'm more than confident in those players' abilities to clutch up in the situation. But somebody who needs to be clutching up, or their tournament lives are on the line, and not necessarily a situation they're used to being in right now. Savage, Benji, and Lecce, they're used to falling behind kind of in the first couple games, and then they really start to pick it up. They haven't really had that signature moment. They've gotten some points here or there, but now aggression coming out, sideways shockwave setting in, and the ambush is on. Boxed like a fish by Mr. Benji Fishy himself. The shots come out, him and Lecce, 1-2 punch, and Nikeva gonna be sent back right there, and there's not an arrow in sight. His teammates are those green arrows on the right-hand side. They are nowhere close, so Nikeva punished for trying to get some of that excess metal down by the shipping crates.
Yeah, and it looks like, they're kind of shaking off the issues of that mid-game, the 5th and 6th zones. That's where they're kind of rending that wall. So we're going to see if they hit that wall going forward. I mean, they are turning up. They are turning the aggression, though, on those scavenger routes. You see those people on the outside, on those landmarks. So they're trying to figure that out and maybe get some of those easy elim points for themselves to kind of get their footing going, as we're seeing the kind of shakedown that's happening as the top of the board. Azini going down, getting knocked. So that's going to leave Flixie all by himself at this moment. And Flix, I mean, this is where we notice, man. You've been playing placement heavy, but once everyone figures you out, they're going to push you, and they're going to test their mettle.
Yeah, and Fixie here in the 1v3 situation, we talked about it, kind of the danger of not relying on the consistency, but being based upon it, right? As soon as you start getting dropped down, it becomes that much more difficult. Now we're going to hop on board here for Strokey, Kylie, and Vidil setting up a shockwave, trying to get as far center into this 3rd zone here. They're right on the edge, and they want the best possible chance of pulling the outer edge of the 4th zone to set them up for the 5th zone, half in, half out. So they're going to wait a second here, wait till the rotation comes out, set up the bouncer. Shockwave comes through. They're relatively close to each other, not too far out, so they should be happy with that. They're going to base up centrally and then just kind of wait.
Clean rotation right there. Only one shockwave, one bouncer, and they're looking very mighty nice, sitting very close to the center. And those are the kind of rotations that you want as a trio. You want to hold on to your mobility, not use that much material. If they would have separated, you would have seen them kind of use up a lot, but you kind of get on their foot. And they walked right to the center. Nice, simple base, and as well as they kind of have some natural terrain to protect them, so additional sightlines to deal with. They just have to make sure someone like a Versus here, they could kind of beam them down. Now all the teams are kind of making their way into the safe zone. We're going to see as much as possible where it all goes.
Now you talk about seeing as much as possible. As we zoom back on in, Mongrel, Tayson, nice little bit of real estate, nobody necessarily around them right now. You can see Snappy, Wakey, and Co. Somebody who have been a little bit quiet. The Godsent Trio haven't necessarily had the performance we're used to seeing out of them as of late. They're over there on the side. You can see Jake Eye, Serenity, Swaps, and Versa there. So we're going to pan on over, kind of getting a lay of the land and where players need to rotate. You can see everyone pinching in, but not committing too far centrally. Again, that's because once this 4th zone does get revealed, you want to end up being on the outside of that and trying to pull that 50-50, rather than being forced to end up potentially having a longer rotation, or at least a guaranteed rotation if you end up in the middle.
And those rotations are the most dangerous, because that's when, some people are already going to be in that 50-50. They're going to be looking for those beam opportunities. And you've seen the tracking skill that they have in the EU region. Some strong beams from Mongrel and Tayson. And now is this duo who's going to have to do it without Mitro, who had a unfortunate disconnect, but at least they have zone at the moment, and they're sitting good. Taking a look at their utility, they got 6 crash pads. Taking a look at their power weapons, they have a blue pump, which, you know, you could get a really good critical shot with that headshot. No doubt they were looking for that upgrade. But I think more importantly is they're going to play the position game, knowing that they want to hold on as much as possible, considering they're a duo and not a trio.
E11's Fixie going down there, the last member of that trio, and we talked about the slide and the potential for it with those consistent based top teams. 21st in 1 elimination, 25th in 0 elimination. That's 1 point in 2 matches for those of you keeping score at home. And here the points are not made up. They very much so matter. Everybody is looking for a ticket to that big dance, and right now 2 points off of breaking triple digits here from what are our current leaders after their 44-point gargantuan victory royale last game.
And now you're seeing the competitors already, they're in this congested area here. When the half in and half out pulls, it's going to pull around that white circle. So it's either going to favor the congestion part or the few trios that are sitting on that top right of your screen there in the northeast. And this is those moments here. It's going to be a very clean end game, not a lot of crazy elevation. Now, these little hills could tend to create mountainous problems for our trios here. And that is the job of the in-game leaders, the ones that kind of navigate, to kind of lead the charge, to build, to tarp out, to control the mobility rotations that you're going to see here. Now, we're going to maybe see as they're just on the outside here. Got about 33 seconds before we get to the half in, half out. Looks like Storm Surge is up in 265 or above, so they're looking good. 14 players have to go down before the Storm Surge is over. And, you know, on these rotations, Sundown, a lot of players tend to go down because it gets so chaotic, and these mobility rotations are not as clean as the launch pad days.
They're not as clean. You need to make sure you spend the time executing on those as a team. But right now, Kurenko looking to pick up a number of eliminations, currently sitting on 46 points, so definitely in the hunt for that top 8 spot. But the box-to-box aggression is coming out driven by that Storm Surge. It's now going to start pressuring some of those players. 14 players are above and under that surge threshold right now, but Kurenko finding a pair of eliminations. They're pushing themselves even further above. We see the half in, half out did pull to the eastern side, so only 2 trios nearby. Everyone else going to have quite a bit of a trek. As you can still see, though, Storm Surge is coming down right now and pressuring on these guys.
And you're seeing iDrop as well on the low ground. That trio sticking together hip to hip. Kenkaira, Karma, and Naru, with a nice low ground peak, getting a big hit there on that low side. So they could be playing for height. We saw in that video package, you could make your way up and then shock your way over and kind of leech your way on the other side of height. But we're going to take a look here at Star 6, iDrop, and Vettel doing it the old school way, running on the floor, using builds to kind of tarp over themselves. And we've seen this is a deadly trio on low ground. 73 points. This is the kind of ones that we highlighted in the package, and they have not slipped off. We highlighted them, we showed them the spotlight, and they're not shriveling away. They are here, and they're doing really well here in Heat 1, Day 1, Sundown.
And they were just 10 damage above that Storm Surge threshold, but able to find a huge knock there, putting them comfortably above it. It's going to turn off, as now we have our 50 players remaining. We're closing in on the first round of placement points as well. You can see Richard Slack getting taken down there on the side, but a number of our top trios are still up. Shakedown coming through, going to guarantee they get the maximum damage against him as well, just to avoid that last one. That was MCK, and we know that Richard had also been taken out, so only 1 member left in that trio left to play as we transition into those full moving circles. And what we mean by that is the safe zone now every single time is going to pull completely out of the previous one, as we're going to be headed south for zone number 6.
It's going south, and there's already so many trios already sitting there. Leon, Knight, Dasik. We're going to try to figure out where they're going to go. Now we're going to take a pan out here and give them a picture to show what other neighbors they have around, as you're seeing shots going in, looking for those tags, just to see if they could steal an elim before this rotating circle. Already there is a trio at height. Mongrel losing Mitro. So it's Mongrel and Tasty here making the rotation. Didn't get any eyes there. No beams, so they're looking good. Now that they get together as much as possible, as there was an enemy build between Tasty and Mongrel. Now, Mongrel is all of a sudden the chaos of all these crash pads and shockwaves has now they're separated, but Mongrel is more capable of being alone, and there it is. Tayson kind of pulls them together. Now they're going to work together as much as possible here and navigate this, only shockwaving through a couple of builds here, but a nice tag from Mongrel and a nice Elim, and that is a Nos! Catching Thomas's trio on this slow rotation right there. Big time pickup from Mongrel to get at least one member of that trio out of the dance.
And the huge play from Mongrel there that Anas missed is he placed a cone kind of in that grassy little field there. So Anas got caught with his builds out, just holding edits in his hand, being like, why can't I edit a cone in front of me? Well, Mongrel with the key piece control, using it so aggressively, then editing open and then putting that AR aim to work. He's going to get dropped down again. Him and Tayson still separated, but he has more than enough tools to go play Lone Ranger. He's going to double back with him, use the shockwave. Tayson gets more than enough out horizontally, but again, a little bit of a misexecution there, as now we're into our placement points. We're also into our top 30, which means no more Storm Surge. It's straight up rotations, moving circle in endgame Fortnite here in match number 5.
Oh my goodness, Mongrel is going for height solo, not afraid, and pays the price though. The aggression from Mongrel going for height, and you're seeing it is Benji, Savage, and Lecce. Tip of the hat to you, Mongrel, for trying to contest some of the most dangerous players, but they're trying to go ahead and get inside the top 8. They're on the outside looking in. They haven't done well at all on day 1, and now they may be taking the blueprints of Mongrel Mitro as they are sitting at height. On your bottom right, it is Vettel, iDrop, and Stir6, one of the great regional players that kind of fight really well from mid-ground to low ground. Expect them to pop off. But now we're taking a look at Savage on your top right, who is doing that blueprint lingo, that mambo right now, and beaming everybody. Can we see this height stronghold play be a deja vu play here, Sundown? It is totally possible because Benji, Savage, and Lecce can definitely execute that playbook.
And you can see Savage in your top right, then Vettel, iDrop, and Stir6 are at the front side of zone, just trying to rain down whatever shots you can. You can see you also have Exponential and Astro over there on the side. Wakey just to the side, trying to put pressure on top of him. But right now, Savage is forcing out the one challenge. They're not enough layers where they're away from the utility, but they should be more than safe as Vettel converts on another elimination. 11 players remaining, but only 5 trios left as they see him on the backside of the zone, and they're trying to clean it up. Zone's going to double back, and we have our top 4 and inside our top 10 now. 9 up, and everyone is just looking to get into the top 3. Again, bonus placement points begin at top 3. Second gets a +4, and the Victory Royale is +5. But right now, the story is height winning out yet again. Currently sitting on 10 eliminations. Can they make it more as Savage, Lecce, and Benji try to close out the game? And that's a huge shot on Takira, making a 2-point swing there as he goes down. iDrop and gets separated and taking it out. It's a 3v2v1 Benji and co against Stir6 and Vital, while you have Void trying to push forward, but he gets taken out, and the final 3v2 is on.
This is a huge performance from Savage, Benji, and Lecce as they're doubling their output in one game right now. And this is that pop-off. We see Mongrel pop off. Savage, Lecce, and Benji are popping off right in front of us. And it's just a matter of moments as Vettel gets sent out to the storm. And look at them. They're sitting pretty in the safe zone. And it's just a matter of time. Vettel is now trying to pop off in the heal game as Savage is going to go ahead and get sent in to try to get that tag here. It's a matter of moments as we're watching here. Can Vettel survive at this moment? I just don't think so. It's not possible unless something came out from above. Savage, Lecce, and Benji are standing tall with 13 eliminations and doubling their output for the day in just one match, Sundown.
A 38-point match is going to rocket them up the top. Vettel with a little bit of a misplay on the shockwave